Enroll now at Australia's Sydney Met and win a scholarship of up to $15,000. Apply today.
Tonight on First at 9 this Friday the 12th of April 2024. Thunder and lightning. Lightning strikes several areas of Sri Lanka. Met Department expects more rains tomorrow. The healthcare revolution. Primary healthcare services in Sri Lanka to be reformed within the next 5 years, assures the Health Secretary. Transforming Sri Lanka. ADB urges Sri Lanka to modernize the country's agriculture. Recommends the government to improve policy framework to promote investments. From Pisces to Aries, experts unravel the mystery behind the auspicious times of the Sinhala and Tamil New Year.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබා ගත හැක.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Drisingha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, we take you straight to some updates on weather. Now as predicted by the Department of Meteorology, numerous areas of the island including Colombo, Hambantota and Polonnaruwa have been experiencing heavy rainfall since yesterday. The Met Department, considering the prevailing inclement weather, issued an amber advisory for severe lightning covering several areas including the Western Province, effective until 11:30 p.m. tonight. The Meteorological Department also predicts heavy rainfall to continue throughout the day tomorrow.
Several areas over the island, including parts of the Western Province, experienced heavy rainfall since this afternoon. As predicted by the Met Department, spells of showers were experienced within the Polonnaruwa district, including in main area and Kaduruvera. In Hambantota, meanwhile, many areas including Valasmulla and Kirama experienced heavy rainfall since yesterday. In the Colombo district, meanwhile, fairly heavy showers were experienced in many areas, including Rajagiriya since last evening. The highest rainfall within the past 24 hours was reported from Ahaliyagoda in the Ratnapura district, recording 169.5 millimeters of rainfall. Taking the prevailing weather into consideration, the Department of Meteorology issued an amber advisory for severe lightning effective up until 11:30 p.m. today. The advisory was issued to areas within the western, southern, Sabaragamuwa, northern, northwestern provinces as well as the Monoragala district. The Met Department went on to advise the public to remain indoors and avoid seeking shelter under trees during thunder showers. The general public are also urged to avoid open areas such as paddy fields, tea plantations and open water bodies. Further, the public were requested to refrain from using wired telephones and connected electric appliances during thunderstorms. In the meantime, in its weather forecast, the Met Department highlighted that several spells of showers are expected to occur in the northern and eastern provinces throughout the day tomorrow. Showers or thunder showers are likely to occur at several areas across the north central and Uva provinces after 2 p.m. tomorrow. The Met Department added that heavy showers of about 100 millimeters can be expected in certain areas within the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts. The general public are urged to take adequate precautionary measures to minimize damage caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
Can you feel it? New Dulux Pentolite Hygiene Plus. Refreshing walls for generations.
Dulux. And now taking you to some macroeconomic news, the Asian Development Bank recommends that Sri Lanka improve its policy framework targeting structural economic transformation by promoting investment in manufacturing and technology in order to ensure increased job creation. In its report titled The Asian Development Outlook April 2024, the ADB urges the government to prioritize modernizing agriculture and promoting greater value addition and diversification in agricultural exports. Further, the Asian Development Bank is of the view that reforming labour laws in Sri Lanka is also essential to formalise informal employment and protect workers from exploitation. Through its report titled The Asian Development Outlook April 2024, the regional lender outlined that in the absence of a cohesive social protection strategy and governance mechanism in Sri Lanka, programs in the past have fragmented with low coverage, poor targeting, high inclusion and exclusion errors and low payments. The ADB said that, however, the Sri Lankan government introduced the Aswasuma program last year to consolidate over 25 state-sponsored cash transfer programs that were previously managed by several government entities. While highlighting that it covers nearly 40% of the population within various income levels and includes a self-registry database for a more objective and streamlined selection process aimed at minimizing leakage, the Asian Development Bank states that this program can be further strengthened with increased individual support, better forward planning, and effective graduation mechanism with technical and life skills trainings, better financial literacy education, and enhanced social and financial inclusion. The ADB, through its report, noted that the government must establish a comprehensive long-term strategy for poverty eradication that monitors progress and incorporates regular social dialogue to ensure the representation and participation of all stakeholders. In terms of gender inequality, the Asian Development Bank stated that while the private sector has addressed these shortcomings to a certain degree, the government can tackle gender inequality through a more supportive framework for female labour participation by introducing flexible work hours and mandating equal pay. Further, the regional lender is of the view that reforming labour laws is essential to formalise informal employment and protect workers from exploitation. While state-sponsored universal healthcare coverage and subsidised medicine provide considerable support to the poor, the ADB says that the government can better leverage the healthcare system for more targeted measures and promote health insurance programs to protect the poor and vulnerable. Further, the ADB report highlighted that the government should intensify efforts to train and retain healthcare staff, particularly considering the significant outmigration by professionals, and added that given financial constraints, expanding access to services can be achieved by enabling greater private sector participation in essential services. The Asian Development Bank also urges the government to prioritize modernizing agriculture by resolving issues regarding farmland, investing to improve land productivity, and promoting greater value addition and diversification in agricultural exports. The report of the regional lender outlines that policies targeting structural economic transformation by promoting investment in manufacturing and technology, digital inclusion, the adoption of global best practices in industry and skill enhancement would ensure job creation outside of agriculture with high productivity and thus bolster work earning capacity across the economy. To catalyze economic expansion, development, and job creation, the ADB recommends that the government should promote private sector participation through consistent policies and regulatory, legal, and institutional support necessary for private sector development. Further, embracing pro-poor tourism policies by providing the necessary regulatory support and capacity building would ensure optimal transfers of benefits to local communities. Now, Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Palitha Mahipala, says that efforts are underway to reform Sri Lanka's primary healthcare services within the next 5 years using $230 million worth of international funding. The Health Secretary also revealed that more foreign funds have been earmarked for the development of healthcare after successful negotiations with the Asian Development Bank. Addressing a gathering at the National Hospital in Kandy after an inspection tour, Dr. Mahipala drew attention to the recent concerns pertaining to the outmigration of healthcare professionals and highlighted several plans to address the persistent human resource concern within Sri Lanka's health sector.
Health Secretary Dr. Palitha Mahipala recently inspected the National Hospital in Kandy.
We are trying our best to ensure that quality and comprehensive healthcare service is delivered. As you all know, Sri Lanka is known for good health. Health indicators, if you go by, we have the best in the region. That is because our human resource is great. They are doing extraordinary work. And this year, we negotiated few projects. One is World Bank project for next 5 years. For entire primary healthcare reforms, we got money, $230 million, so 60 billion rupees. So somehow we are going to reform the primary healthcare and ensure quality integrated comprehensive services are delivered at the primary healthcare level so that the workload come up to the secondary and tertiary will be reduced. And then secondary care level, again we negotiated with the ADB fund and we got roughly $100 million. So that's 30 million. We hope that with all this funding and our funding, we might be able to look after health services in a more quality and comprehensive way for next 5 years. And one of the challenge now is human resource. So I requested the PGM director to call all the board of studies after the new year for me to come and address. So one is to improve the take-up, and then of course streamlining the process so that we'll have more consultants. And then the intermediate cadre, where we have already had discussions with GMOA to have like diploma in anesthesia. We identified diploma in surgery medicine. So we will have an intermediate cadre also coming up. And now PGIM agreed upon this. So we need to quickly set up the board of studies for this and start it. And nursing, of course, within this year, there's more than 6,500 nurses passing out, more than 1,500 midwives passed out. So probably all the vacancies in the country will be fulfilled during this year, and thereafter it is university intake. So we'll try our best to ensure that we can support you all.
Now, the Kazakhstan government invited President Ranil Wickremesinghe to embark on an official visit to Kazakhstan. This was conveyed by a Kazakhstan delegation headed by its Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs during a round of official Foreign Office consultations with Sri Lanka. While highlighting that tourist arrivals from Kazakhstan to Sri Lanka have seen an improvement following the commencement of direct flights between the two countries agreed to explore a reciprocal visa-free arrangement for normal passport holders.
The second round of Foreign Office consultations between Sri Lanka and Kazakhstan commenced recently in the Kazakhstan capital Astana with the participation of a Sri Lankan delegation headed by Foreign Secretary Aruna Vijayawardena and a Kazakh delegation headed by its Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Alibek Bakayev. The Foreign Office consultations follow a high-level meeting between President Wickremesinghe and Kazakhstan President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev held in September last year, where it was agreed to reciprocally establish embassies in Colombo and Astana. In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that the Sri Lankan embassy to be established in Astana will be the Sri Lanka's first resident diplomatic mission in Central Asia. During the meetings, the Kazakhstan delegation invited President Ranil Wickremesinghe to undertake an official visit to Kazakhstan. Further, a visit by Foreign Minister Ali Sabri to participate in the Astana International Forum in June 2024 was also confirmed. In terms of bilateral cooperation, discussions focused on trade, tourism, energy, transport and logistics. It was acknowledged that the resumption of direct charter flights by Air Astana to Sri Lanka has contributed to increasing tourist arrivals from Kazakhstan to Sri Lanka, and the two sides will explore a reciprocal visa-free arrangement for normal passport holders. Further, the Kazakh side expressed their confidence in Sri Lanka's economic recovery and welcomed the recent progress on all indicators on this front.
Now, India's former External Affairs Minister Yashwant Sinha says that the Bharatiya Janata Party has made the Kachatiyu Island an election issue ahead of Lok Sabha polls without thinking of its implications on the Indo-Sri Lanka relationship. Sinha, who expressed his displeasure to the Indian Prime Minister for raising this issue, said that he is aware of the fact that the Kachatiyu Island was which, when the International Maritime Line was drawn, fell on the side of Sri Lanka and therefore went to Sri Lanka. He added that was the main reason why the Minister of External Affairs has held the position that there was no question of conceding any territory to Sri Lanka. Sinha is of the view that raising this issue will spoil India's relationship with Sri Lanka. Sri Lankans across the island and beyond are making their final preparations for the dawn of the Sinhala and Tamil New Year, which this year will take place at 9:05 p.m. on the 13th of April. Although the finalized auspicious times for the celebrations were issued by the State Astrologers Commission, a controversy arose over the exact timings during the weeks leading up to the festivities. Commenting on the situation, member of the State Astrologers Commission, Prashant Malavige, said that the apparent confusion occurred due to the incompatibility of the modern calendar and the traditional calendar. Speaking on the New Year's traditions from an astronomical perspective, visiting lecturer of the Institute of Astronomy explained that the dawn of the New Year is marked by the precise moment during which the center of the sun crosses the constellation of Aries.
Celebration of the solar New Year is a cultural tradition which dates back almost to the dawn of humanity. The belief that the completion of a solar cycle brings with it a new beginning for life on Earth is held by many cultures across the world, from South America to Southern and Southeastern Asia. These traditions share their reverence of the solar cycle, with the only difference being the starting position of the Earth's journey around the Sun. Sri Lanka's Sinhala and Tamil New Year is one of the oldest proponents of this cultural phenomenon.
Sri Lanka has a long-standing tradition of aligning important life events with auspicious times, calculated using deep-rooted astrological traditions. Nowhere is this more evident than during the Sinhala and Tamil New Year or Aurudu celebrations, where every aspect of the festivities are closely coordinated to coincide with auspicious times, determined by the precise location of the sun in relation to the constellations. So, what is it that exactly determines the heralding of a new year? And what is it that determines the auspicious times for the subsequent festivities? Let's find out.
ඇත්තවශයෙන්ම සූර්යයා දක්ෂිණාර්ධ ගෝලයේ සිට උත්තරාර්ධ ගෝලයට පැමිණෙනකොට
Sri Lanka is the first country the sun approaches as it travels from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere. During March 21st, 22nd and 23rd, the sun directly travels over the southern city of Deundara. After that, the sun's path takes it over Devinura. In Galgane Kanda in the Devinura area, there is a special stone-built shrine. According to tradition, the new year begins when rays of the sun falls perpendicularly through a small opening on the shrine's roof. The inauspicious period or Nonagataya begins when the sun's outer circumference first aligns with the prime meridian of the Aries constellation. The new year arrives when the sun's center aligns with the prime meridian of Aries. This year it is at 9:05 am on the 13th of April.
අප්‍රේල් මාස 13 වෙනි සෙනසුරාදා රාත්‍රී 9:05
With these auspicious times holding such cultural significance, this year a controversy arose over the exact timings declared by the State Astrologers Commission.
ඒ වගේම සිංහල අලුත් අවුරුදු උදාවීම තවත් විශේෂ කාරණයක් තියෙනවා මතක් කළ යුතු වැදගත් කාරණයක්.
The New Year's Day gradually moves forward according to the modern calendar. For example, in 546 BC, the New Year occurred on the 9th of March. In 2000 AD, it was at 5:53 p.m. on the 13th of April. Accordingly, in 2100 AD, this will occur at 8:40 am on the 15th of April. The reason for this shift is the incompatibility between the traditional Sinhala calendar and the modern calendar.
අප්‍රේල් මාසේ 15 වෙනි බ්‍රහස්පතින්දා පෙරවරු 8:40 විනාඩි 40ට තමයි සිංහල අලුත් අවුරුද්ද උදා වෙන්නේ.
As the process behind these calculations are shrouded in mystique, the public will benefit from a scientific understanding of the astronomical events which these traditions are based on.
An astronomical perspective, we all know that there are 88 constellations in the sky. So they have clear boundaries as specified by International Astronomical Union. The Sinhala New Year is defined as the instant the apparent direction to the sun moves across a fixed location. That means the first point of Aries on the ecliptic. Ecliptic is the great circle that is the apparent path of the sun and other planets among the constellations in the course of a year, and it is also the projection of the celestial sphere of the orbit of the earth around the sun, and zodiac constellations are arranged along the ecliptic. So the time of the start of New Year is defined as when the center of face of sun crosses the adapted first point of Aries. Since the sun has a diameter of about half degree, according to astronomical calculations, this will take nearly 15 hours to enter to Aries from Pisces.
Now taking you to some political updates, the SJB and the NPP today shared opposing views on the progress of the debate between the top brass of the two parties. While Dr. Nalin Jayati served, the NPP alleges that the SJB stalled the progress of the debate. MP of the SJB, Nalin Bandara, claims that they heeded to all the requests made by the NPP and urged the NPP to agree on a date to hold the debate. With that, let's take a look at some views presented in the political arena today.
We talk about the country's 76 years since independence because we went bankrupt. If we didn't go bankrupt, we won't be looking back at our past mistakes. But we must understand one thing. We can't solve problems by simply talking about it. We need rupees and dollars to come out of the crisis. It is not easy as some may think. We have foreign and national debt worth $100 billion. We can't ask our debtors to simply forget that debt. That is a request even a rural cooperative bank would not entertain. They will sue us if we do not pay. The people are being deceived. Please do not push this country off the precipice with lies. We celebrate this new year as a bankrupt nation. Our aim should be to redesign this country such that it ensures prosperity for all by the next new year.
සැමට සෞභාග්‍ය උදා කර දෙන රටක් බවට අපේ රට ප්‍රතිනිර්මාණය කිරීමයි.
අපිට පේනවා එක පැත්තකින් සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස
We see that Sajith Premadasa, Nalin Bandara and other MPs of the SJB are making speeches on various topics everywhere. We set our first discussion on Wednesday, the 10th of April. 2 hours before the discussion, Nalin Bandara called me and said that they won't join because he has some other commitment. The Samagi Jana Balavege bailed on that discussion.
සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ පැත්තෙන් තමයි ඒ සාකච්ඡාවත් මගේ හැරියේ. දැන් මම අවස්ථා 8ක 9ක කියලානේ මේක ජනගත කරගත්තේ.
I talked about this issue 8 or 9 times. After preliminary negotiations, they said they wanted everything in writing. We provided those documents. Therefore, we have nothing to hide. We will set dates for the debate with the Economic Committee and the debate with Sajith and Anwar. Let's set the dates for the Economic Committee debate and the Sajith versus Anwar debate together and organize them accordingly. We know that the NPP will fracture into two if those debates happen. We urge them to come and debate us.
එන්නකො කරුණා කරලා මේ විවාද දෙකටම
කතා කර ඉන්න ඕනේ විවාදයට දෙගොල්ලම ගිහිල්ලා මේක ඉවරක් කරන්න ඕනේ.
There is no need to talk about this any further. Please have the debates and finish it off. Both parties fear each other and they also fear that they will not have anything of value to say. Both of those parties have not disclosed their respective economic agendas. As soon as we nominate a presidential candidate, we will disclose our policy manifesto.
ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා තෝරාගත්ත හැටි අපේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශනය අපේ රටට ලබා දෙනවා.
Now in other local news, the Sri Lankan Navy seized 2 multi-day fishing trawlers carrying nearly 200 kilograms of heroin and crystal methamphetamine. 10 individuals who were on board the vessel were also taken into police custody. With that, let's take a look at local news in brief.
The Sri Lanka Navy took 2 multi-day fishing trawlers carrying around 200 kilograms of heroin and crystal methamphetamine into custody off the southern coast of the island. 10 crew members who were on board the vessels were also taken into custody. The suspects who were being escorted to the Galle harbour will be handed over to the respective authorities for onward investigations. Taking the New Year season into consideration, several operations were launched to track illicit liquor distribution. In such an operation, excise officials raided an illicit liquor distillery operating in Batticalow. The raid led to the apprehension of a 35-year-old individual. Meanwhile, 50,000 illicit liquor bottles worth over 30 million rupees were seized during the operation. In Bandaragam, meanwhile, a person riding a bicycle was run over by a 3-wheeler. The incident was recorded in a nearby CCTV camera. In other news, the Alpitia Anti-Corruption Unit was able to seize illegal cigarettes which were in possession of a female suspect. The cigarettes seized during an operation conducted in Polvatta, Ambalangoda are valued at 800,000 rupees.
Welcome back. Now, as travel picks up with the New Year celebrations around the corner, the Sri Lanka Transport Board has stated that its daily revenue has increased by 25 million rupees over the past few days. The Sri Lanka Transport Board has been deploying at least 200 additional buses as special service for the assistance of people who were returning to their hometowns during this month's festive season. However, the commuters complained about the inconvenience they had to go through during this special service due to the inadequate number of long-distance buses in operation to accommodate the high volume of passengers. In the meantime, the Road Development Authority said that the income of the expressways has gone up by at least 10% during the festive season, and it is expected to further increase until the 15th of April. And now let's take a look at some corporate news in brief.
Sri Lanka Insurance stated that it concluded the 2023 year by achieving a profit before taxation of 10.6 billion rupees, reflecting an improvement in combined gross written premium of 44.2 billion rupees, marking a growth of 7.2%. During the year, the company increased its asset base to 313.3 billion rupees and its life fund to 180.8 billion rupees. H&B Finance PLC announced its appointment of Ravi Tissera as an independent non-executive director to its board, effective from the 4th of April onwards. Tissera is an inclusive finance, impact investing, green finance and MSME sector specialist with over 15 years experience as a CEO both in Sri Lanka and in Myanmar. Ambient Capital said that the board of directors of the company has accepted the resignation of its independent non-executive director Nirmal de Souza Cook with effect from 9th April 2024. The firm confirmed that de Souza did not have any relevant interests in the shares of the company as specified in the listing rules at the time of his resignation.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Ada Derana First at 9. Stay in touch with us on www.adaderana.lk for the latest developments around the clock. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit adaderana.lk.